And it looks like we're ready to roll. Welcome back to One-on-One. We have a show for you today. Very surprising, very interesting, very exciting. My name is Vin Dacquino, and today, believe it or not, we have Karl Milde.
How do you do?
Karl, you are a triple threat. You are a patent lawyer, you're an inventor, and you're an author. Tell me a little bit about who you are and what exactly you do.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought I'd tell you what a patent is.
Okay, yeah.
Right off the bat.
Okay.
Supposing we're way back in the caveman days,
Okay.
Nothing's been invented. And you have to remember, a patent is only for something new. It has to be new and actually...
And different.
And
right.
unobvious.
Oh, okay.
Not something that other people would think of.
Okay.
So let's go back to the caveman days, and we're living in a cave with our family. We go down to the river and get water with our hands. We dig down into the water, make a cup, bring it up to our mouths. And it occurs to you that if you hollowed out a log, you could use that to get water and drink water and actually bring it back to your cave.
Which is an invention.
So you hollow out this log, you try it out, it works well. And let's say there's a patent system back in those days. You can get a patent on a container because it's the first container ever made.
Okay.
And probably they didn't even have the word container.
Probably.
So you have to invent a word and you have to describe it in a patent. And let's say the patent is then issued and you have then an exclusive right to make, use, and sell your invention. Nobody else can do that. So you start a business. You start, your family gets involved, you start hollowing out these logs, you sell them. They're selling like hotcakes because nobody has anything like that.
Yeah.
And nobody can have anything like that unless they buy it from you.
Wow. So that's what a
let's,
patent is.
let's say another person comes along, he buys one of your containers, he takes it down the river and he finds it a little awkward to carry because he has to carry it under his arm. So he thinks, wait a minute, I'm going to put a handle on that thing. And so he invents a handle on the container. That's never been thought of before. Nobody has that. So he gets a patent on a container plus a handle. So can he then go into business making handles for containers, buying the container from you and putting a handle on it? Yes, he can, because he bought the container from you. But can he make a container with a handle? No.
No. Oh, wow.
Because a
That gets
patent,
tricky.
a patent is the right to exclude others from making and using and selling. It doesn't give you the right to do something.
Wow.
It doesn't give you the right to even to make your own invention. So think about that. As time goes on, people are going to improve on the container with a handle. They're going to make cups. They're going to make cups with a handle, different kinds of handles. They're going to make buckets. They're going to make all kinds of different things.
Covers.
Everything that you can think of can be improved. And the patent system is there to cover those improvements. As time goes on, improvements upon improvements upon improvements, it'll never stop. And that's what is the fire with which our industry develops. Abraham Lincoln said that the patent system is the fuel to add to the fire of industry. Yeah. And it supports the industry. It enables guys like you and me to make fortunes, really, because we can invent things and stop the whole world from making our invention for a limited time. It only lasts for about 20 years from the time you apply to the time the patent runs out.
So it doesn't last forever.
It does not last forever. On the other hand, the copyright lasts a much longer time. If you write a novel,
right,
we're going to talk about that in a minute, that lasts about 75 years. So you and your heirs can have a good reward for what you've done.
So as a patent lawyer, someone gets a wonderful idea,
Yes.
and they come to you and say, I have a wonderful idea, I want to do a patent, and you help support them to create this patent that enables them to create something that they can then manufacture.
That's right.
Now, they don't have to manufacture it themselves. They can go to a manufacturer
Yes.
and sell that patent or
License the patent or
license
sell the
the
patent.
so that they could do it.
Yes.
And then they can create these things. So there's a lot of people out there with great ideas who should go to a patent lawyer
It's a
and find out what to do.
complicated process to get
Yeah.
a patent. It's very tricky to claim what it is you've invented. And that's the sort of the name of the game. Claim it in such a way that it doesn't define anything that anybody has ever done before. Because if your claim covers what other people have done, it's invalid. Even if you get the patent, if it turns out that somebody has done it before, he can invalidate your patent.
Now, is it up to the inventor to find out if anyone did it before, or do you as a lawyer help them do that?
I commission the search. I usually do this, even though the inventor has searched and searched and searched himself. Searching is an art in itself. I don't do it, but I know people and I pay them well to do the search and to find out if anybody in the world has done this before.
And it's sort of when you buy a house, you have someone who's paid to search your title to make sure no one else owns it. And it's a researcher.
Right.
So a researcher does that. Now the researcher comes back to you, and that researcher says they're good to go.
Yes.
So then they go ahead.
Well, it's a little more complicated than that.
Okay.
The searcher will come back with a pile of documents.
Okay.
Maybe 15, 20, maybe 50 documents.
Right.
And it's all about what people have done around where you have worked.
Right.
And you have to figure out from
if yours is individual enough to be separated from theirs.
what is different about yours?
Okay.
And you focus on that difference. And if the difference is worthy, that is, if you think it's something that other people might want to do, then you apply for a patent. If that difference is irrelevant, now people can do it a different way just as easily, then you don't apply for a patent because people could get around your patent.
Interesting. So you help them do that. But
Yes.
now, in addition to helping other people with their inventions, you, my good man, are an inventor yourself.
Right. I've gotten about 30 patents altogether.
Wow.
Yes.
So there's 30 patents. And I imagine it's a variety of things?
All different fields, yes. But I'm currently working on a field that started with that tragedy in Newtown, Connecticut, where a young man went into the school and started shooting. Yeah. And when I learned about that, I said to myself, there's got to be a technological solution or something we could do to stop something like that from happening. And people have been working on smart guns for quite a while. Guns that, for example, if you remember the movie Skyfall, James Bond had a gun that you had to, it responded to your palm. Your palm print would unlock the gun. There's also guns that you can even buy today, which you put your fingerprint on it, and that will unlock the gun. But my idea was that makes the gun much more expensive.
Yeah.
My idea was to put the electronics in a smartphone, and the smartphone already has the electronics. Everybody has a smartphone, and use this as the key to unlock your gun.
So before the gun will fire,
yes,
you need to use a code.
You need to put in not a code necessarily, but a bioidentification of yourself. Right. For example, the fingerprint. You can put in your fingerprint.
Wow.
Or you can use the camera on the phone to take your picture of your face.
And until it sees your face, it won't unlock the gun.
It's got to be your face and nobody else's to unlock the gun. Now,
believe me, this face is one of a kind.
The cell phone has other marvelous features. It has a GPS in it. It will lock the gun or maintain the gun locked whenever it's in an area like a school or an airport where nobody should be shooting. Wow. So it'll automatically lock your gun in areas like that.
And wow.
And conversely, if you, for example, you're a mall policeman, it will allow you to shoot your gun as a mall policeman in the mall, but not anywhere else in the world. So it limits you to shooting in a certain area. Another thing you can do with this, every cell phone has a Bluetooth connection or a Wi-Fi connection for short distances, and it has a telephone for long distances. And so what you can do is have put a little camera on the gun, a little video camera, and a microphone too, if you will, and that will stream video to your cell phone, and then you can stream it to a police station, so that when a policeman takes his gun out of his holster and starts waving it around, the police station can see exactly what the gun is seeing.
Wow. Wow.
So all of these are protected. I've gotten 7 patents so far, and I've got about 7 more applications pending.
So the ones you have pending,
yes,
you're not going to talk about because the patents aren't through yet.
No,
so
once they're filed, you can talk about them.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So is it similar or just different things that you've...
Well, there's all these different things you can do with this. For example, when the ISIS came in to Iraq and started taking over the U.S. munitions there,
right,
they used our munitions against us.
Yeah.
You could, with a cell phone, transmit to a munition and have that munition self-destruct.
Wow.
You could have avoided all of that problem.
Wow.
You can also alert the police station when a gun is tampered with. It's called tamper detection. It's very, very well known to do. When they try to unlock a gun that's been locked, it will alert the cell phone.
Unless it's done by Apple. No.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and which is one of the reasons why Apple is fighting right now.
Right.
Because they're trying to protect that security. Very interesting.
Well, this will be protected by that very same security.
Yeah. So, Karl, it's fascinating because it can protect us in many ways.
Yes.
And now, does it take one patent, or do you have to come up with different patents for different phases of this?
Every invention, you can get one patent on one invention. That's the law.
Right.
So for every little thing,
you need another
you need another patent.
So does this need more than one patent?
Yeah, I have, as I say, about 14 patent applications.
Just for this one invention?
Well, it's one. There's many inventions involved, actually.
Right.
Yep.
Now, is this the only invention, or have you created other things besides this?
I was sort of a pioneer in automobile electronics.
Really?
One time I was driving down the road on the West Side Highway, and a man had a flat tire, and he stopped in the right-hand lane. There is no lane that you can pull off on the West Side Highway. So I was going down on the right-hand lane, and suddenly I saw a car that had stopped dead. And he didn't have his flashers on, and I didn't realize at first that he was stopped dead. Wow. So I slammed on the brakes. I had my family in the car, and my kids were in the back. My wife was on my right, and I slammed, and I just touched him. Wow. But I realized there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
So at that time I said, oh, he should have put his flashers on. So I invented and got a patent on automatically turning on your flashers when you're in an emergency situation like that.
Oh, sort of the way that headlights automatically go on.
Yep, at night.
Yeah, they have this new invention now that when it gets dark, they just go on. You don't have to touch it; they go on all by themselves.
Yep.
Interesting. So, people out there who have interesting ideas and who believe that they have something great can start the process. They can give you a call. Now, I have to ask you, is this expensive?
It
could be.
If you can't afford a patent, you really can't afford to do much with your invention.
Yeah, because there's steps that you have to follow.
Right. It's not only getting a patent, but it's also taking further steps beyond that. to market it. But a patent costs maybe around $10,000
Wow.
to get.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
soup
that's
to nuts.
expensive. There's a recent movie out, and I've been trying to remember.
About the windshield wipers? Is that the one?
No, about the mop, the
Oh, yes.
disposable mop.
Joy.
Joy.
Yes.
Yeah, and amazing because that's all about patents and
Right.
it's all about
Yeah.
inventions and I urge people who are interested in Karl's talk, you definitely should watch that because that's exactly what it's about. And all the little pitfalls and all the problems that she had with this invention until she finally got it to work.
Right.
Because it has to be advertised and you have to get out there and you have to get a manufacturer.
That's right.
And you have to make sure you don't get ripped off. So a lot
There's
to do
even a
with
patent
that.
attorney, I think, in that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
and
so-
and there was another guy who was trying to rip her off
Yes.
by getting her patent rights.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So fascinating. Now,
Yes.
there is another side to Karl Milde, and that is the passionate author.
Oh.
And I have read several of your books, and they involve inventions.
They really do.
Yeah, they do.
Uh-huh.
They do. And you come through in it. Your most recent book, just finished.
Yeah.
I mean, hot off the pad. Not even hot off the press. Hot off the pad.
Right.
Is about an invention. I don't know how much you want to talk about that
Sure.
before it actually happens, but
All right.
talk to me. Also, the planes, the whole idea of the man who has the van.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about your books and
Okay.
how you incorporate your inventions into your written work.
Okay. I wrote 5, to start out, back in the 90s, really 20 years ago, I guess now. I started writing children's books. And each one of the children's books, there was a young boy named Jason. My son's name is Jason, actually.
yeah.
So that's not an accident. Who made an invention in each book. And that invention is then used as the driver of the story. The first invention for the first book, called Jason and the Detectives, was Jason who invented a air-powered bicycle. That is, when you pedal, you're pumping up air into the frame of the bicycle. And then if you want to go up the hill, the air pump turns into an air motor by, flick the switch, and it drives you up the hill. So that he then has an adventure with his air-powered bicycle. The second book is about a boy, the same Jason, goes to summer camp, and he invents a new kind of a sail for a sailboat on the water, on the lake where the summer camp is.
Wow.
And on and on and on for 5 books. Then I
Wait a minute. What does the sail do? Does it?
Oh, the sail is like a Venetian blind, and each of the blinds forces the air over the next blind, so that it's like a jib, forcing sail over the mainsail. Only these are all staggered, and it makes the boat go much faster.
Have you ever tried to patent these inventions?
I patented that.
Oh,
Yes,
very
I
good.
did.
Okay,
So then I got to the point where I thought, I'm going to write an adult novel. So it needed to be a thriller because that's what people like to
Yeah,
read.
they do.
So I wrote my first adult novel is called The Commuter Train, about 2 guys, a father and a son, who hijacks the commuter train that goes from Millbrook down to the city. The reason the father and son hijacked the book was that an entrepreneur, the head of a big company who lived in Millbrook, defrauded him out of his invention. He had invented a new kind of airplane that would levitate, and it could take off vertically.
Like a helicopter.
Like a helicopter, only it was a winged aircraft,
Wow.
so it was much more, how shall I say, fuel efficient than a helicopter. So these father and son hijacked the train so that this man, they want to bring him down to Washington, D.C., and have him testify in Congress about what he's done,
Wow.
because they're really promoting what had happened in their
Right.
lives, because he basically ruined their lives by defrauding them. So that's the first book. The second book was a sequel. They got money, they made this aircraft, and they used it to save West Point. Some Russian bad guys had an atomic bomb, and they put it on a train to go underneath the tunnel that goes underneath West Point, and they were going to blow up West Point when the president.
Give him any ideas. Don't listen to that part.
It's not. I don't think very many people know that there's a train track that goes right underneath West Point. And then the third book and the first book is called The Commuter Train. The second called The Airplane. I figured, let's do cars.
Yeah.
And the trucks. So the third book
That's
is
a
about.
book that I'm very familiar with.
All right. It's about a man who drives a trailer truck cross country, and he's like the Lone Ranger, only they call him the Road Ranger, and he helps people along the way. Well, the latest book is kind of
Very different.
well, there's another invention involved.
Yep.
The invention is, what would happen? Well, let me go back. When I was younger, teenager, in the 20s, I was always horny. And it was always, incumbent upon me to try to get the ladies to go to bed. And I thought, even at that time, I said, how is it that we guys are always
Thinking about those things.
always obsessed with that and trying to get the girls to go to bed, and the girls are always resisting. Supposing somebody put something in the water, so the guys weren't horny anymore, and the girls then got very frustrated because the guys were not coming after them. It kind of is like a joke.
Yeah.
And I thought it would make a great book about what would happen if we put something in the water that made guys not horny anymore. And that's what the book is about.
Yeah.
And I had to invent a story. The story is that there's a woman who has founded a women's magazine called Women Rising. And she realizes that men are really the source of most of the difficulties in the world. They fight the wars.
This is their opinion.
They commit. Well, it's statistically true. Of active shooters, for example, statistics are that 97% of active shooters are male.
Wow.
Hey, there's got to be something there.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we could solve that problem, we could reduce crimes dramatically. And that was her goal. Publicize what's going on, have women become aware of what men are doing, because they're not nice guys out there. They're on the make.
Although there are some good ones.
Well, you're good, and maybe I'm good, but there's a lot of bad guys.
Yeah.
So women, not so much. Statistically, men are worse than women. So that's what the story's about, except it's a romance novel as well. She eventually finds her guy and becomes basically accepting of the way things are. That's the story.
Yeah. There's actually a whole lot more to it. I mean, you're involving all kinds of country conflicts, and there's it's a pretty sit at the edge of the seat kind of novel.
I hope so. Yes.
And that's about to happen.
Should I mention that I should mention that you have helped me with it. Whenever I wrote a chapter, I'd send it to you, and you'd critique it
like a soap opera.
You give me ideas, and I'd add them to the book.
Yep. Carl would send me a chapter. I'd read the chapter, send it back to him, and almost about the time that it was arriving at Carl's, the next chapter was arriving on my computer. He said to me, "Well, in the summer, I don't write as much." He lied. In the summer, he wrote just as much because, Carl, because you write from your passion. Now, that is something I've said 1,000 times. If you have passion, if you believe in something that you do, don't ever let anybody stop you. chase that passion. Do what you love to do, especially when it comes to writing.
Right.
Now, Karl, you're also a member of the Mahopac Writers Group.
Right.
And you used to come religiously
Yes.
until you religiously started going to choir
Yes.
instead.
At church, yes.
At church. But you did the same thing. We have about 20 different writers who come and they have passions.
Right.
And they are from all different fields. A patent lawyer, a popcorn salesman, a postmaster,
Right.
ages 17 to 80 something.
Right.
You know,
Tell
and
us about Joe. He works in a movie
Yep,
theater.
that's right.
He takes tickets at a movie theater and he writes
And
a
he
novel.
got inspired by some of the movies. He is writing. Joe, and he was actually on our other program, Let's Talk Writing.
Okay.
And he came to talk about his memoirs. He's writing his memoirs.
Yes.
And he's actually keeping in touch with the Joe he used to be.
Right.
Writing is therapy.
Yeah, it is.
Not only does it get out there to other people, it gets here to you. And it gives you an opportunity to say the things you need to say.
Yes.
Karl, you help people with their inventions. You help people with their creativity. You help people by writing things that inspire them.
Yes.
You need to keep doing what you do. Is there another book in mind? Now that you're almost at the last pages of this one, you have another book swimming in that head already?
You know, I realize that all the books that I have written came from some dreams long ago, and I'm thinking of what dreams I still have that I need to put into writing.
I'm going to tell you something amazing. We lost a young boy recently,
Yes.
a 12-year-old boy,
Yes.
and his mother, just before this boy passed, asked him if there was anything he didn't do in his life that he wanted to do. And this incredible young man looked at his mother and said, "Yes, I'd like to ride a dragon." And it was his way of saying, I've done what I needed to do. And his 12 years of life, he touched so many people.
Yes.
Sean Callahan was probably one of the most wonderful inspirations I've had in my life.
Yes.
I hope that I can inspire in everyone, just as he did and just as you do, to be who you are. Chase your dream. Karl, thank you for sharing your dreams with us.
Thank you, Vinny.
And what you do and how you do it. It has been a pleasure to have you here tonight. Go chase your dream. Glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us.